Good morning, mathematicians. Week 36 Wednesday column is today. Note what we are to complete the chart and plot the points on the plane. So our very first point is going to be an x of 1 and a y of 2. All movement starts at the origin, so I start at 0. I'm going to go over 1 and I'm going to go up 2, and I find that that is my very first point. Now let's create our second point. We are going to have an x of 2. We are going to have a y of 4. So let's make it so we go over 2, we go up 4. There is our second coordinate point. Now our third coordinate point is an x of 3 and a y of 6. So I'm going to go over 3, I'm going to go up 6, and now I have my points plotted on the plane. Number 1 down below says to use a ruler to connect the points and to continue the line beyond. We are going to label the line as W. Do you remember what we have seen many times before? Mathematicians, it is not about perfection. If you are at home and you don't have the best math tool, use something like even a post-note stack to be your math tool, your ruler, because really we're just looking for your effort as we do these problems, right? We have now done number 1. We have created line W. Now uh, the second question is all about the pattern. When x increases by 1, what does y increase by? So x increases by 1. We go 1, 2, 3. But when y increases, what value does it increase by? What's the pattern rule here? 2, 4, 6. It increases by 2, right? So they have two separate pattern rules, and now we see those pattern rules, right? How they increase. Now, our third question says, name 2 other points on the line W. So let's continue. If we continue this pattern to be 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, what would the Y be? We just said the pattern rule is to increase by 2. So wouldn't it look like that? We would have 4, comma 8. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here. Now, again, you could have something different. You could have 5, comma 10, right? That's another point that does exist. You could even have 8, 16 if you continued this on in advance and got all the way to of an x of 8. So certainly we are just looking for what other points would be on line W if it continues. And of course, we can find those points by continuing our rule. All right, now we are going to look at rounding using the number line. Use the number line to answer the question. 814 and 663 thousandths rounded to the nearest tenth equals what? Well, when I round this to the nearest tenth, I'm asking, is it closer to this 814 and 6 tenths or this 814 and 7 tenths, right? So is it closer to the 6 tenths or the 7 tenths? Well, right there in the middle would be 814 and 65 hundredths. So that's the middle point. That's really the moment that makes or breaks how this is going to round. So where would our number sit? Where would our number sit? Our number would sit like all the way over here, wouldn't it? It is much closer to this end of the number line. So what would it equal? Well, it would equal 814 and 7 tenths when it's rounded to the nearest tenth. Now, indivisible woman is having her birthday party. She wants you to sketch a rhombus-shaped invitation which has no right angle. So here, what you have to create is a rhombus. What do we know about a rhombus? I know the rhombus is a parallelogram. So I know that it has 2 sets of parallel sides. I've drawn, as best as I can, just by sketching one pair of parallel sides here. And now I'm going to create 2 other sets of parallel sides here, right? Does it have any right angles? No, it does not. And I have done what indivisible woman means for her invitation. Your rhombus could certainly look different, but it must have two sets of parallel sides, and it must have all sides of equal length and no right angles, which we have achieved. Our last question for today is about Captain Cluck. He found 8,284 golden eggs on his chicken pirate ship. But he's so generous, he decides to share them equally with his 19 feathered crewmates. How many eggs does each pirate chicken get? What a question. So this is the number of golden eggs that were found, right? So he found 8,284, and he's going to share them equally with his 20 feathered crewmates. So that is really like the heart of the question here is division, because division is always about equal sharing. And certainly that's what we're finding here, right? Now, attending to the detail, it doesn't say that he's going to share them with himself and his 19 crewmates. So I think that he's giving them all away and just sharing them all equally with the 19 crewmates. So that's why we have a divisor of 19. You'll see I went ahead and kind of brainstormed some of our 19 facts, since those weren't memorized timetables, but certainly we can use these related facts plus our ideas of 10 and 100 in order to create some good choices. So the first thing I noticed is look, this fact right here. 19 times 4 is 76. So if I do 19 times 400, if I do 19 times 400, I'm going to have a 76, but then I'm going to have two zeros, right? So I'm going to use up 7,600 of those golden eggs. That's a good first take, right? 4 minus 0 is 4. 8 minus 0 is 8. 2 minus 6 I can't do, so I'm going to borrow from the 7, or excuse me, 8, make it a 7. And this is going to become a 12. I'm going to write that on top so we can see it clearly. Now I have 12 minus 6 is 6, and 7 minus 7 is nothing. So I'm looking at 684 eggs that I still need to sort. There's still quite a lot of them to sort. Now a new fact jumps out at me. This fact jumps out at me, right? If 19 times 3 equals 56, then I know that 19 times 30 is going to be a 57 with 1 0. That gets me close without going over, because of course I can't go over. 4 minus 0 is 4. 7 or 8 minus 7 is 1. 6 minus 5 is 1. And I have 141 left still to share with my crewmate. And take a look, we have an exact fact right here. So now we can do 6 additional groups. 19 times 6 is 114, which when I subtract, I get a 0 with no remainder. So when I take a look and add these together, I have an answer of 436. So what does that 436 mean? Well, the 436 means the number of eggs that each of his crewmates will get. That finishes out this final Wednesday